Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you're doing well. And we're going to pick up where we left off from the last Tailwind episode. All right, so now that we're all set up, this has some unique trait here. I'm going to make it hidden. So basically what I'm saying is by default, when this is at the mobile state, I want it to be hidden. And then as it gets bigger, I want this image to be visible. So this is going to be called I call this guy, let's say I called him Zen. This is going to be our image of the guy, kind of on his knees, just kind of like, freaking out a little bit. So I'm going to pull in the asset, same way we did before. Okay, so this one is located in the image and this one will be called this. And we'll just take a sneak peek at this image just to kind of, make you familiar with it. So here's the image that I want to pull in. The dimensions are set to the size of this image that I would like. Depending on your image, you can have specific dimensions, but in this case, it's 256 by 270 and, fairly light, fairly small image. Okay. So we'll close this, and now we're going to add the visibility to this image at a later breakpoint. So what I did here was I want it to be absolutely positioned. I also want it to be at the medium state block. This is where it comes in. So at this breakpoint, it's no longer hidden. So it's hidden here. But then when we get to a bigger breakpoint around here, we have that visibility and it shows up. I also want to set a max width on this, meaning that I don't want this image to get any larger than this specific width at any given time, no matter how it scales. Okay, so I'm going to use Tailwind's arbitrary values. And I'm going to set this to 200 pixels. Okay, so that will help us keep the image that we want to its size as far as the width is concerned. So also I wanted to position this image to the bottom left of the container, of the card container. So I found that, just kind of through trial and error and just kind of tweaking, I was able to figure out that I wanted to be halfway and I wanted to be positioned in the specific space. So I used the Tailwind bottom and I added this attribute of this value in rems, and this was pretty good. You could tweak this to see however you want it to look or your desired fit. But just through some testing and some tweaking, I found this was a perfect arbitrary value. And what I also wanted was to shift it over a little bit to the left. So kind of have it, between where the card is and where it's halfway between the card and halfway out of the card. And putting it to the left and setting it to this arbitrary value here using the Tailwind arbitrary values is really nice, just having that ability. And I was able to put it into a specific position and it worked out well. So note that these arbitrary values are not like going to work every single time. They will work for when you need them, and you can change and shift your image or your layout around and, just find the values that work for you. Actually, you know what I just did here? Let me just take a double check here. Yeah, I made a mistake. So this actually should pertain to the actual container that it's in, because if this is hidden, then it'll just be the image, but this container will also be visible. So what we'd like to do is this. We'd like to put the class here and we'd like to paste this in here. So that's actually better because I want to hide the actual container, not just the image. So sorry about that. I kind of ended up jumping ahead of what I wanted to do. So as far as this class goes, the image class, we want this to be at the block level as well. And we also want it to be the full width of the container. So we want it to take up the full width of the container that it's in, the parent container. So the child needs to just fill this whole entire thing. And we want the height to be set to auto. So I'll let it automatically fill up the height that it needs. And we'll save this as well. And then we'll jump back out to our browser just to have a sneak peek and see what we look like so far. So here we are in our browser, and it doesn't look great, guys. It looks like it's all spaghetti. It's all messed up. But what we're going to do is when we open up this card container and we start to fill in the things, these images, because they're in absolutely positioned places, will shift and go to the spots that they need to. So the background is actually set. It's relative to the height of this card. So when this card starts to get thicker and get bigger, then you'll see where these things are placed. Okay. So it doesn't look like what we've initially designed right now, but we're going to get there with the last few pieces. So let's just jump back. And once again, just to save us a little bit of time, I'm going to paste this in. So the same kind of thing happens with this article. We'll save this out just to kind of give you an idea to what this looks like. Don't worry about the code, guys. I'll give you enough time to kind of check this out. And I think at one point in the resources, I'll also add like a link to the repo or something where you can see this and study this a little bit further. So once again, we just do some padding and some spacing around this. We center all the text. We do some, like things around the medium breakpoint. If you're not familiar with flex in general, the flex basis being set to 0 kind of controls the initial size of the item within this container. So we apply that there just because we want to kind of control what the initial size of those flex items are. So right over here, we also have, some more things to deal with spacing and padding around the medium breakpoint. We have some padding right, some padding bottom. We have some padding to the left. We add some text left. So certain text items such as the H1 and P tag will be pulled to the left within this container. And then on a larger breakpoint, a little bit bigger screen resolution, we then add some padding bottom and some padding to the left. And we'll save this out. And we'll jump over to our thing and we'll have a quick check. So right now, just based on that article, which is inside of this card, you can see it's starting to push the things in the appropriate spots as to where we want them. So this is still in its fixed position. It hasn't changed. This is still in its absolute fixed position as well. It hasn't changed for this breakpoint. And what's going to change is the content within the middle of this card. It'll start to fill out and it will start to shift everything to where it needs to be or where we're trying to get to. Now, also note that this background is fairly large. I think I have it set to around like 3000 by maybe 600 or something like that. So it runs really, really long. So if you have a large monitor or a 4K display or something like that, you'll still won't get the distortion. It'll be very crisp and it'll grow accordingly. But this is only going to grow in height and grow in size based on the contents that is within here. So if we quickly recap, we have our section, right? And our section has a background. We have our image, which is in a div, which then also has this image. We have another image, which is also in a div, which then has its applied styling attributes. And now we're working on this card. And as we fill in this card, we've given it some kind of arbitrary heights depending on the breakpoint. And now we're gonna like fill this out and put the contents in there, okay? Let's just jump back over to our code. So don't forget to like, subscribe, let me know your thoughts below, hit the notification bell. I will see you guys in the next one. Take care, until next time.